We all see the uniform. We see the soldier. We see the hero. But what we don't see is the war that comes home with it. Not the one with guns and explosions, but the one that rages inside their own mind and spirit. It's a silent, unseen battlefield where the deepest wounds are the ones no one can see. But there is one who does. For decades, one term has often defined the struggle: PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a critical diagnosis, but it's only one piece of a much larger, more complicated puzzle. What if the story doesn't end there? What if some of the heaviest burdens our veterans carry have another name entirely? Today, we're going beyond PTSD. We're talking about the hidden wounds of service, depression, anxiety, and a profound, often misunderstood concept called moral injury. We will uncover the true, often invisible cost of sacrifice and explore the silent epidemic impacting the very soul of those who have served. This is a story of the battles that are fought long after the war is over. I can tell you, I know this battle personally. I came home from combat with awards and stories I could tell, but also with wounds no one could see. On the outside, I looked strong. On the inside, I was unraveling. Nights were filled with silence that screamed louder than any firefight. PTSD was real in my life. But so were depression, guilt, and the deep ache of feeling like I didn't deserve to be alive. That's why this message is more than statistics for me. It's my own journey. To understand these wounds, you first have to understand the people who carry them. When I was 20, I signed up for the Army. I was looking for purpose, structure, and a place to belong. I was stationed in Germany with Desert Storm in the middle, then Fort Benning, Korea, and Fort Riley. I learned to push past my limits to survive and to put the mission first. But the things I saw and the choices I had to live with planted seeds. They planted seeds that I didn't know how to name. At that time, I thought it was just part of the job. What I didn't know was how heavy that uniform would feel once I took it off for good. Then comes deployment. The world changes. The stakes become life and death. In the heart of a conflict, a service member is trained to react, to follow orders, to survive. They witness things that are impossible to explain. They face impossible choices in chaotic situations where the line between right and wrong, a line that may be anchored in faith, just blurs. They might see friends fall. They might take part in events that, while necessary for the mission, will echo in their minds for a lifetime. These experiences are the foundation of what we think of as trauma. The fear, the loss, the constant high alert. These are the seeds of PTSD, but there's more happening here. In these moments, other more subtle wounds are being inflicted. Wounds that don't come from the fear of dying, but from things that violate a person's God-given conscience. These are the moments that will later force them to question who they are and what they believe in. They come home with medals and stories of valor, but they also carry a spiritual weight that no one, not even their closest family, can see. It's a weight that follows them long after they take off the uniform for the last time. The transition back to civilian life is supposed to be a joyful homecoming. When I left the Army, the transition was brutal. I didn't expect the silence to feel so loud. I went from the constant hum of camaraderie and danger to a civilian world where no one really understood. Crowded stores left me on edge. Family gatherings felt distant. Even though I was surrounded by people who loved me, I felt completely alone. My body was back home, but my mind was still out on patrol. That disconnect left me battling depression, insomnia, and the kind of anxiety that makes you feel like you're crawling out of your own skin. This is where the hidden wounds begin to fester. Reports show that many veterans struggle with mental health conditions. While numbers vary by study and service era, depression and anxiety are among the most common challenges they face. These aren't just statistics. They represent millions of veterans. Each is struggling to find their footing. This struggle shows up as insomnia, irritability, chronic pain, and a constant feeling of being disconnected from the world. This internal turmoil has devastating consequences. According to recent data, the suicide rate for veterans is significantly higher than for their civilian counterparts. In 2022, An average of over 17 veterans died by suicide every single day. For female veterans, suicide risk has been more than double that of non-veteran women. These aren't numbers on a page. Each one represents a person created with a purpose who survived a war zone only to be lost on the unseen battlefield at home. The pain they carry is real. It's relentless, and for too many it becomes unbearable. The question we have to ask is, why? What is this pain that goes so far beyond our usual understanding of trauma? This brings us to a powerful concept that might hold the answer: moral injury. While it's often tangled up with PTSD, it's a completely different kind of wound. PTSD is often a fear-based response to a life-threatening event. Moral injury, on the other hand, is a wound to the soul. It's a deep, gut-wrenching pain that happens when a person sees, or fails to stop something that violates their most deeply held moral or spiritual beliefs. This hit home for me because moral injury wasn't something I had words for until much later. I carried guilt for things I couldn't undo, shame for choices made in impossible situations, and questions about God that I was almost afraid to ask. PTSD explains some of the nightmares and hypervigilance, but it didn't explain the crushing sense that I was broken beyond repair. That was moral injury, and it nearly convinced me that God couldn't forgive me and that I didn't deserve peace. If this is connecting with you, I've also got a video on pastoral care and veterans' mental health. It's how VA chaplains are engaging veterans in their mental health. You can catch it right here. The symptoms of moral injury aren't flashbacks and jumpiness. They are profound guilt, shame, and remorse. It's a crisis of meaning. Veterans suffering from moral injury might say things like, "I'm not the person I thought I was," or "I don't deserve to be happy." This isn't just sadness, it's a full-blown crisis of character, a spiritual agony that makes a person feel unworthy of connection, healing, or even forgiveness. Studies show that moral injury is strongly linked to more severe PTSD and depression, and is a major driver of the despair that leads to suicidal thoughts. It's the wound that whispers not that the world is dangerous, but that they are broken beyond repair. An invisible wound, whether it's depression, anxiety, or moral injury, is never carried by just one person. It ripples outward, touching everyone and everything in a veteran's life. This reflects a deep truth. We are all connected, and when one person suffers, those around them feel the impact. The very symptoms that define these struggles, the emotional withdrawal and irritability, the loss of trust, are poison to relationships. A spouse might feel like they're living with a stranger, unable to break through the wall of silence their partner has built. Children can't understand why their parent is so distant or easily angered. Friendships that were once easy become strained as the veteran pulls away, convinced that no one could possibly understand what they've been through. The veteran's internal shame and isolation become a self-fulfilling prophecy. By believing they are alone and unworthy, they make it true. This social withdrawal doesn't just hit their emotional well-being. It has real-world consequences. It can make it incredibly difficult to hold down a job, be a part of the community, or simply enjoy the daily life they fought to protect. The family, which should be the main source of support, often ends up with secondary trauma. Dealing with their own stresses and emotional exhaustion, the hidden wounds of one become the shared burden of many, creating a cycle of pain that is incredibly hard to break. This is why addressing veteran mental health isn't just about helping one person, it's about restoring entire families and communities. So how do you find a way out of this darkness? It's not simple, but it is absolutely possible. Healing from these hidden wounds requires a new approach, one that cares for the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. It must acknowledge the full spectrum of a veteran's experience, including moral injury. Traditional therapies for PTSD can be very effective, but healing from moral injury often requires something more. Newer treatments are being designed specifically to target the guilt and shame at the heart of this wound. They create a safe space for veterans to confront the events that haunt them, not as something to fear, but as a source of more conflict. These approaches help veterans reframe what happened, practice self-compassion, and begin to find forgiveness and build a new sense of meaning and purpose. But therapy is just one piece of the puzzle. Perhaps the most powerful medicine of all is connection. Social and spiritual support is crucial. Programs that connect veterans with their peers are invaluable because the person best equipped to understand a veteran is often another veteran. Organizations like the Wounded Warrior Project provide these vital connections through peer support groups and community events. Faith communities can also offer a place of unconditional love and acceptance, reminding the veteran that their worth is not defined by their wounds. Adventure-based therapies, creative arts programs, and emotional support animals are proving to be powerful tools. They offer new ways to build confidence, manage stress, and rediscover a sense of joy and purpose. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning to live with it and seeing it redeemed. It's about understanding that a single moment doesn't have to define a lifetime, and that even the deepest wounds can, with time, support, and grace, begin to heal. For me, healing started when I stopped pretending I was okay and began letting people into my story. Counseling helped, so did brotherhood. Other veterans who spoke the same unspoken language of pain. But the deepest shift came when I realized God wasn't ashamed of me. He wasn't waiting for me to fix myself. He met me in the middle of my brokenness. It didn't erase the past, but it reframed it. My scars became testimonies, and slowly I began to see that I wasn't disqualified. I was redeployed. If this story has moved you, don't let it end you. The first step to solving a problem is seeing it clearly. You can help bring these hidden wounds out of the shadow. First, please share this video. Spreading awareness is a powerful way to fight the stigma around veteran mental health and encourage those who are suffering in silence to get help. Second, and this is the most important part, if you or a veteran you know is struggling, please know that you are not alone and help is available. Organizations like the Wounded Warrior Project offer a wide range of free programs and services from mental health support to career counseling. The Veterans Crisis Line is available 24/7. Just dial 988 and then press 1. I'll put links to these and other resources in the description below. And finally, join the conversation in the comments. Share your own experiences. Offer words of support or prayer, or ask questions. Let's build a community of understanding and compassion right here, right now. We ask our service members to be heroes. We ask them to face the unimaginable. But when they come home, we too often fail to see the invisible scars they carry. The unseen battlefield of the mind and spirit is every bit as real and as dangerous as the physical war zone. Going beyond PTSD means listening deeper. It means recognizing that a veteran's struggle might not just be about what they've seen, but about what they've done, or what they failed to do. It's about understanding the crushing weight of depression, anxiety, and profound moral pain that can leave a person's soul feeling broken. Recovery is a long road, but it is a road that no one should have to walk alone. By fostering understanding, bearing one another's burdens, and ensuring our veterans get the right kind of support, we can do more than just thank them for their service. We can help them win the war that follows them home. We can help them find the true and lasting peace their souls were made for. That's why I'm sharing this, not just as a veteran, but as someone who's lived through it. I've been on the edge, convinced there was no way forward, but I've also experienced healing, redemption, and purpose on the other side. My story proves anything, it's that you're not too far gone, and your wounds don't disqualify you. They can be the very place God begins to rebuild you. Listen, if you found hope in this video, subscribe to this channel for more conversations like this. Share it with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story, your struggles, or even just your prayer. Let's bring these hidden wounds to light, For more on how God forges leaders through fire, check out this video on why he gives his toughest battles to his best leaders. And don't forget to subscribe, because you'll be joining a brotherhood of people learning to lead with scars. Remember, you're not disqualified. You're just dead. You read it fully.